Hi, welcome to my kitchen. I'm Anita Day, and welcome to my audience. Thank you for joining me today. You know, I've been talking about my soup pot in the freezer forever, and the last show I did, the carrot cake, I had leftover grated up carrots, so I thought, what it's a better time to do some soup. Whenever I have a little bit of leftover vegetables from dinner, I just put them in, start them out in a big bag, and then when it gets filled up, it's time to make soup. So there's some like corn on the cob in there from, that I cut off, and there's some broccoli, and so that's all gonna go in the pot. But I'm gonna get, if you remember a while ago, if you saw that episode, I did some tenderloin out on the grill. And I cut off the small part of it and put it in the freezer, and I'm just going to cut that up a little bit more because we're going to put that in the soup. Now, since tenderloin is such a tender meat, you don't need to cook it long because it's basically is like filet. So I'm just going to brown it up a little bit in a frying pan with a little bit of olive oil. And I'll get my soup stock going. I don't know about you, but sometimes I don't have time to make soup stock. In fact, I never do. I use bouillon, beef, chicken. I have some chicken noodle soup back on the burner right now. So you guys get to choose which one you want to eat. Or you can have some of both if you want. So, depending on what you want to make, what you have in the fridge or the freezer, you can get a soup together in 15-20 minutes and have it ready to eat in half an hour.
That's my kind of soup.
That's your kind of soup, right? Mine too. Now, if you're doing noodles, your noodles are going to go in last, because once your noodles are cooked, that's when you're done, you're ready to eat. A couple pieces of fat there. I'm not going to throw that in. Okay, I'm going to turn my stove on. Oh, wrong burner. Gotta learn to read. I'm going to put a little olive oil in my pan. I'm going to let that heat up good. That's only about a tablespoon there. And I'm going to start filling up my pot with some water. Now, usually I use a bigger pot because I have 5 people living in the house. So one this size would last not long. So I'm going to fill this up half full with water, and I'm going to get it heating up back here. It's going to be a free-for-all back here with the burners going. Get that going. And I'm going to use some of my, you can use bouillon cubes. I don't particularly like them only because it takes so long to sit and peel them all. So I like the paste. Oh my gosh, works fabulous. This is a granulated, the chicken one. It just comes out already done, and you can just throw that in there.
You prefer the paste though? Or
I don't think it doesn't matter to me, but I'm going to start out with a good couple of tablespoons in here. Now, I put that in. You don't want to cross-contaminate, but it was only in water. So if I add more, I'm going to use a different spoon, so that I don't put anything from the pot into there to cause it to. Okay, I'm going to get this going. I'm just going to use a little wooden spoon to kind of push that around a little bit. And get a big spoon back here, stirring this. And so let's see, I'm just going to start dumping in all of my veggies. Now the carrots were raw when they went in the freezer, so now I'm up to here. And I have some potatoes that I had pre-cooked. I like beef soup with potatoes in it, vegetable soup with potatoes in it. This is a great way to use up your little cauliflower going in. I don't think we're going to fit much more in there. Let's see. Once that gets hot, I'm going to taste it. I'm going to see if I need to add more. I'm going to add some seasoning to it. But here's something else I like to do. If you ever open a can of tomato paste, you only need like a couple of tablespoons and then you have the rest of it. I put it in a Ziploc bag and I just run my finger through there. So if I need just a part of it, I can open it up and I can just pull that frozen piece out. So, but I'm going to use this in there. I'm going to use all of it.
I would have never thought of doing that.
I'm basic.
Don't waste anything.
Well, my grandmother lived with us throughout, you know, when I was younger and in high school, and well, I think this is going to be easier if I just squeeze it in there. And I would sit and watch her like scrape every little bit of the batter out of and get it in with the cake. I try not to, but so I guess I'm channeling my grandma. You know, that's Depression era.
That's it.
You know, this is such an easy, you know, soup is so easy and it goes any time of the year. Fixing it. I mean, that's it. Now all I have to do is wait for it to cook. You know, you can go off and do something else, let it simmer on the stove for a little while. And let's see about, I'm going to start turning some of this.
Do you season the meat at all?
I'm going to. Thanks for reminding me. I'm just going to throw a little salt on. I know it seems like a lot, but there's not a lot coming out at one time here. And some pepper. Now, if you see, there's a lot of juice coming in here. That's okay, because I'm going to throw all that in there. If you pat your beef dry really well, you're not going to have as much juice coming out, and you're going to get it a little browner, depending on what you want it to do. But all that flavor is going to go in there. I'm going to throw some garlic in here. This is just some minced up garlic. And I'm going to throw a little, that's just a little bit of Cajun. I can't resist it. What can I do? Oops.
I think so.
See, it says it right there. Little Cajun in my soul. Let's see, what else can we put in there? Oh, let's see. Let's put a little slap your mama.
And what is that?
It's just another seasoning. Got a little kick to it. Okay. I don't know if you can see that. You can't see that, but I'll show it to you here in a minute. Once the meat gets done, I'll move this over to that burner and then you can see it. I'm going to take a spoon out, so I'm going to try it. There's another soup that I've done. It's called Fiesta soup, where you can just these are in your cabinet. Can of corn. I like to use Rotel tomatoes, or these have a flavor in them. 2 cans or a big can of diced tomatoes with the juice. Dump all the juice in. Can of peppers. These are just like they're jalapeno. They're like a chili, yes. And you can get them mild if you want. And then a can of black beans. Throw it all into a pot. Heat it up. Serve it with some cheese on top and some tortillas. So good. You don't have to have any meat. You can put meat in there if you want to, but it is really good. So I did that previously on the cooking show, and it went over really well. Okay, I'm going in. I'm tasting it. The only thing that's going to take long to cook is the celery and the onions and the carrots. So once that's cooked, you're ready to go. Because everything else has been cooked, everything else is hot.
Can you saute that ahead of time?
Yeah, you could, but it's just stuff that I had left over that I threw in the freezer. So that's why it was like that. But yes, you could. Okie dokie. This is about ready to go in. Oh boy. You know, we're going to do this. I'm going to move this over here. Ooh, that's hot. Now you can see what's cooking in there.
That pan on that countertop is making you face.
It's supposed to be okay.
Okay.
That's what my granite guy said. Or I'll be calling him up. So the juices, everything's going in. Wow. If you were to get, if you can see any of the little brown stuff in there, can deglaze your pan a little bit. Okay. Ooh, that looks so yummy. And what did that take me, about 10 minutes to put together?
10 minutes.
Yep. I'm going to put like another little bit in here. So maybe even a half. So maybe I did like total like 2.5 good tablespoons of that. Okay, so while we're waiting for that to cook, I'm going to talk to you about knives a little bit. Now, when you're buying knives, you want to buy the best that you can afford. You know, there's all different brands out there. I get mine in Ohio when I go visit my sister, because every time I go back there, then they sharpen them for free for me. And I have a chef's knife. It's a bread knife because it has a little serrated. This is another serrated. I love this just for like utility stuff. These they don't sharpen. And it's a boning knife. And of course you need paring knives. I started out with, I got one at a time every time I go back. So I've got enough now. I've lost several paring knives over the years. I think somebody likes to throw them away. But I know it. I store them up underneath my cabinet back here. I have a magnet back here. So it's attached up underneath, and I just go like that. And they're out of the way. I keep them all knives facing the same direction, so that when I reach back there, I know that if I go in from the left, the blade is going to be facing the other way. I start out with my biggest ones and work my way down to my smallest ones, and always have them going the same direction. This is just I bought this magnet at Harbor Freight. for like $5 or $6, I think. The ones that I get at the knife shop, I think were like almost $20.
Oh my.
So, and this one is set 16 inches on center, so if you put it on the wall, you're going to go right into a stud. So, using different knives, like my, this knife, the butcher's knife, their chef's knife, it does a rocking motion. You're always going to keep it on the counter or on your cutting board, and you're always going to do this kind of a motion. You're chopping. So that's why that. Don't scrape your food with your blade. It dulls it. So use the backside. You don't have to use another. I know there's a lot of people that will have a special knife or blade for cleaning it off. Into there. It's like just use the back of your knife, especially this big of a knife. And then your paring knife is good for doing small stuff. This is great for tomatoes. The serrated knife is great for tomatoes and bread. Never put anything like these in dishwasher. It's very bad for them because it rots the wood. You want to have a knife that has the tang going all the way through, so it gives you a good grip where it's not gonna, and then it's bolted. It's got these little studs going through. I know there's a technical name for those, but I don't know what that is. I'm sure if I looked it up. You want one that feels good in your hand, So that's my suggestions on your knives. Don't throw them in your drawers. You break them. Find a good place that sharpens them. A good knife sharpener. I wouldn't do it in the can opener kind of thing, or.
What about those sticks?
Those are not for sharpening. Those are for, I don't have one, it's called a steel. And you go back up and down because your blade, as you're cutting, it'll get little wobbles in it. That's a technical term. A technical term. It's wobbles. And all that does is straighten it out. It does not sharpen it. No. But it's good for straightening out longer knives. It's not for sharpening. Misnomer. So, I got some chicken noodle back here. It's good on a cold day. This is one of my mom's favorite meals. My grandsons love soup anytime. Even if it's warm out, they'll eat soup.
Well, this is a good time of the year for it. It's just starting to get warm.
I could eat soup anytime because it's fast. It's fast. You don't have to think about it. You can just go off and forget about it. So let me dish up a little chicken noodle. I like the noodles I use are, you use them, you got me going on them, the Kluski noodles. They're not like your normal egg noodles. They, or the home style noodles. You can buy home style noodles, pretty much same thing. Oh my gosh, they're so good. Ooh, I need more bowl. I'm gonna pull a little out of here. I'm gonna try that, make sure that carrot's done. Not quite.
Getting the aroma here.
Can you smell it?
Yeah.
It smells good. Not quite ready yet though. Needs to cook a little bit more. All right. Okay, we've let this soup simmer for about 10-15 minutes. And we're ready to dish it up. See the steam coming off of it. Ooh.
It looks as good as it smells.
Can you smell it? Oh yeah. That is really hot. But there's nothing worse than getting soup that's not hot.
No.
You can always let it cool down, right?
Mm-hmm.
Ow. Yay.
Or be a glutton for punishment and eat it when it's boiling hot and then complain that your mouth is burning.
So my thoughts on making any kind of soup is play with your food, right? Experiment. You don't have to have a recipe, just start throwing stuff that you like in there. Save your leftover vegetables, put them in the freezer, and about every month or so when you get that bag filled it up enough, make you some soup. You ready to eat?
Yes.
Well, I'm gonna eat some soup, but I'm gonna have to let it cool off just a little bit because it's really hot. Thank you for joining me today. Oh, I have a joke.
Okay.
How do the Green Bay Packers eat their soup?
I don't know how.
In the Super Bowl. I love it. Share your recipes. Teach a child how to cook something so that they can take care of themselves one day on their own, or maybe even you. So, thanks for joining me.